Welcome back to the channel where we talk all about rare coins, hidden treasures, and valuable collectibles you might already own without even realizing it. Rarest coins. Today we're exploring one of the most underrated and mysterious coins in the Lincoln Penny series, the 1949 Lincoln cent. While most of these coins are considered common by collectors, a few rare and extraordinary examples have made headlines, with some rumored to be worth as much as $1.9 million. That's right. A single penny from 1949 that could change your life if you're lucky enough to find the right one. So how did this happen? How did a coin that was once worth just 1 cent become potentially worth almost $2 million? Let's break it down and explore the history, value, and reasons why certain 1949 pennies are now considered treasures in the world of numismatics. First, let's start with a bit of history. The Lincoln penny was introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first United States coin to feature a real historical figure, which marked a major turning point in U.S. coin design. The designer, Victor David Brenner, created a portrait of Lincoln that would become one of the most iconic images in American coinage history. By 1949, the Lincoln penny had already been through some changes. World War II had just ended a few years earlier, and during the war, the U.S. Mint had experimented with steel since in 1943 to save copper for the war effort. By 1949, the Mint was back to using its pre-war bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. That year, the Mint produced pennies in 3 different locations. The Philadelphia Mint struck the most coins, and these had no mint mark. The Denver Mint used a small D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint used an S mint mark. In total, more than 300 million Lincoln pennies were struck in 1949, which makes them relatively common in circulated condition. But here's the twist. Most 1949 Lincoln pennies are worth just a few cents to a couple of dollars depending on their condition. However, if you have a high-grade uncirculated version, especially one that is certified in red color, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands. Collectors are willing to pay serious money for coins that look like they just left the mint yesterday. But the real game changer is when we enter the world of mint errors and ultra-rare varieties. In numismatics, mistakes can be gold mines. And in 1949, several strange and rare errors were believed to have occurred at the Mint, including doubled dies, off-metal strikes, and transitional planchet errors. These are the kinds of mistakes that happen when a coin is struck with the wrong die, the wrong metal, or even on a planchet intended for a different denomination altogether. One of the most valuable kinds of errors is the doubled die obverse. This happens when the coin's die is improperly manufactured and results in a doubling effect on the date, letters, or other design elements. Collectors love these because they are rare, dramatic, and visually striking. Some double-die Lincoln pennies from other years have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now imagine if a 1949 penny featured a bold double die and also happened to be in mint state red condition. Add the possibility that it was struck on the wrong planchet, maybe a foreign coin blank or an off-metal planchet, and you now have a unique, one-of-a-kind specimen that could potentially be worth up to $1.9 million. That's not just a random guess. There have been reports of ultra-rare 1949 error pennies sold in private auctions or dealer transactions for astonishing amounts. While most of these sales are not publicized the way major auction house sales are, serious collectors and insiders in the coin world know that coins of this caliber can change hands for 7 figures when the right conditions are met. So, what should you look for in your 1949 pennies? First, check the mint mark. Whether it's a plain Philadelphia coin, a D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco, each can have unique errors or variations. Next, inspect the coin for any signs of doubling on the date or lettering. Use a magnifying glass or loupe to check for separation on the numbers and letters. That could be a clue that you're holding a double die. Also, pay attention to the weight and color of the coin. A regular 1949 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams and be made of a bronze alloy. If the coin feels unusually light or heavy, or if the metal looks different, like silver-colored or nickel-toned, it could be an off-metal strike. These errors are extremely rare and highly valuable. Most importantly, if you think you found a rare variety or error, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin destroys its surface and significantly reduces its value. Instead, store it safely and get it professionally graded by a service like PCGS or NGC. If your coin is verified to be an authentic mint error in high grade, its value could skyrocket. potentially to the level of $1.9 million or more. To wrap things up, while the average 1949 Lincoln penny might only be worth a few cents, the rarest and most exceptional examples have reached legendary status among collectors. Whether it's because of a dramatic mint error, a once-in-a-lifetime strike, or flawless preservation, the possibility of turning a humble 1-cent coin into nearly $2 million is real, even if it's incredibly rare. So take a few minutes. Check your old coin jars, go through your childhood collection, and look closely at those older pennies you've been ignoring. Because you never know. One of them might just be the 1949 Lincoln penny that changes everything. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more rare coin stories, and leave a comment below. Have you ever found an unusual or rare coin? Let us know. Until next time, keep hunting, keep collecting, and never underestimate the power of a single penny. Let me know if you want a version broken into segments for visual editing, or if you need help coming up with a video title, thumbnail text, or tags. Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins. Today, we're talking about a coin that you've probably seen 100 times in your life without thinking twice, the 1973 Lincoln penny. It might look like just another 1-cent coin, but what if I told you that a rare version of this everyday penny could be worth as much as $1.5 million? That's right, a single penny that could make you a millionaire. So how is that even possible? Let's dive into the history, the facts, and the hidden value behind the 1973 Lincoln cent first. Let's rewind a bit and talk about the Lincoln penny itself. The Lincoln cent has been a part of American coinage since 1909. It was the first United States coin to feature a real historical figure, President Abraham Lincoln, on the front or obverse. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it quickly became one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. Over time, the reverse design changed from wheat stocks to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959, and later to the Union Shield in 2010. Now let's focus on the year 1973. In that year, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies across its facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The vast majority of these coins were made from the standard bronze composition used at the time, which was 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. The design stayed the same, with Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. In circulated condition, a regular 1973 penny isn't worth more than a cent or two. Maybe a bit more if it's in better shape, maybe up to $1 or $2 if it's uncirculated with bright red color. But here's where things start to get interesting. While the regular 1973 pennies are common, rumors and collector reports have surfaced over the years about extremely rare experimental strikes and error coins from that year. These include pennies struck on aluminum planchets, off-metal errors, and possibly transitional errors involving wrong metal compositions or incorrect dies. Let me explain. In the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with different metals to replace the increasingly expensive copper. In 1974, the Mint struck a small number of aluminum pennies as test pieces. These were never officially released, but a few of them made their way into the public, and they've become legends in the coin world. Now here's where the 1973 penny comes into play. Some experts and collectors believe that similar test strikes may have been done in 1973 as part of early experimentation. And if any of those aluminum or off-metal test coins were struck in 1973 and somehow escaped into circulation, they could be worth an absolute fortune. We're talking hundreds of thousands, even over $1 million, depending on the coin's uniqueness, condition, and verification point. One such 1973 penny, reportedly struck on an experimental aluminum planchet, has been discussed in numismatic circles as potentially being worth up to $1.5 million. Though this coin hasn't been publicly confirmed or sold at a major auction, the very possibility of its existence has driven collectors wild. And if one were to be authenticated, it would likely break records. So what should you be looking for? First, check the color. A typical 1973 penny will be a dull copper or brown color. But if you come across a 1973 penny that looks silver, shiny, or unusually light, take a closer look. Aluminum pennies are extremely light, around half the weight of a regular bronze penny. So grab a digital scale and weigh it. A regular penny from 1973 should weigh about 3.11 grams. If yours weighs significantly less, like under 1 gram, you might have something incredible. Next, pay attention to errors. Look for double strikes, off-center strikes, coins with missing design elements, or anything that looks out of the ordinary. Sometimes it's these mistakes, these little minting anomalies, that turn a common coin into something extraordinary. And finally, condition matters. A coin in mint state red, with no wear and perfect luster, is always more valuable than one that's been through decades of circulation. So if you've got a clean, shiny 1973 penny, it's worth holding on to even if it's not an error. But if it is an error, and it's in great condition, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Now here's an important reminder. If you think you found a rare or valuable 1973 penny, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can ruin its surface and dramatically lower its value. Instead, store it safely and take it to a professional coin dealer or grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can examine the coin, authenticate it, and if it's really something special, give it a certified grade. That certificate could be your ticket to a high-value auction and possibly even $1 million sale. To wrap things up, while most 1973 Lincoln pennies are extremely common and worth just a penny, there's always the possibility, however slim, that one rare error, one experimental strike, or one misplaced planchet slipped out of the mint and found its way into someone's pocket change. And if you're the lucky one to find it, your 1 cent could turn into $1.5 million. So take a moment, go through your old coin jars, check your change drawer, and look carefully at those older pennies. You never know what you might discover. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history and mystery of the 1973 Lincoln penny, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more rare coin stories, and leave a comment below. Have you ever found an unusual penny? Let us know your story. Until next time, keep hunting, keep learning, and never stop looking for hidden treasures. Because in the world of coins, anything is possible, even turning a penny into $1 million. Let me know if you want this version adapted for TikTok or Shorts, or if you need a thumbnail idea or video title suggestions. Welcome back to the channel where we dive into the fascinating world of coins, collectibles, and hidden treasures you might just have lying around in your pocket. Rarest coins. Today, we're taking a deep look at one of the most talked about coins in American numismatic history, the 1964 Lincoln penny. You might be thinking, how could a simple 1 cent coin ever be worth millions of dollars? Well, the answer is pretty fascinating, and by the end of this video, you'll see why collectors and treasure hunters are keeping their eyes peeled for this unassuming little copper coin. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features Lincoln's portrait, a design that has become one of the most iconic in American coinage. In 1959, to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and the 50th anniversary of the penny itself, the reverse design was changed from the wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial. That's the reverse you'll see on the 1964 penny. Now, 1964 was a year of major coin production. The U.S. Mint was under pressure due to a coin shortage, so they struck an extraordinary number of pennies that year, over 6.4 billion just at the Denver Mint alone. That's right, over 6 billion. So naturally, a 1964 penny in average circulated condition isn't worth more than face value. Maybe a few cents to $1 if it's in very nice shape. But here's where things get interesting. Despite the huge number of 1964 pennies minted, rumors and reports have surfaced over the years of rare error coins and off-metal strikes from that year, and some of them are insanely valuable. The most famous story? A 1964 Lincoln penny supposedly struck on a bronze planchet intended for foreign coins or earlier issues. Combine that with a possible mint error or unique strike characteristics, and suddenly you've got a coin that's not just rare, but one of a kind. And that brings us to the $1.7 million claim. Now let's be clear, not every 1964 penny is worth anywhere near that much. But in the coin collecting world, condition, rarity, and uniqueness are everything. If a coin has an extreme error, like a double die, off-metal strike, or if it was struck using incorrect dies, its value can skyrocket. One such example is a rumored 1964 penny that may have been struck using experimental or transitional materials, the kind of mistake that only happens a handful of times and gets past inspectors. Combine a major mint error with high-grade condition, we're talking red uncirculated or even proof-like qualities, and you've got a coin that could be worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even over $1 million to the right buyer or collector. Whether the $1.7 million price tag was real, rumored, or speculative, What's certain is that rare error pennies have sold at major auctions for six figures and higher. So what should you look for in your 1964 D pennies? First, check the condition. If it still has a bright red luster and no wear, it could already be worth more than face value. Next, look for unusual features, doubled lettering, odd coloration, off-center strikes, or any signs that the coin was struck on the wrong planchet. If something looks off, don't clean it. Instead, take it to a professional coin grader or dealer and get it authenticated. You never know, that old penny in your drawer might just be the rare error coin everyone's been searching for. To wrap it up, the 1964 D Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how something common can become incredibly valuable under the right circumstances. Whether it's a once-in-a-lifetime mint error, a rare strike, or just a well-preserved piece of history, these little copper coins continue to surprise collectors and historians alike. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coin stories, and let me know in the comments, have you ever found a rare coin in your change? Until next time, keep collecting and keep hunting for those hidden treasures. You never know what you might find. Let me know if you want a shorter version, a version with timestamps for video editing, or a voiceover-ready script. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we talk about coins, currency, hidden treasures, and everything you might be missing in your own pocket change. If you've ever held a penny and thought, this is just 1 cent, today's video might just change the way you look at it forever. Because we're diving deep into the story of the 1969 D Lincoln penny, a coin that's not just rich in history, but, in some rare cases, reportedly worth up to $1.5 million. That's right, $1.5 million. For a penny. Let's break it down. Why is this coin so valuable? What should you look for? And how can you tell if the penny in your hand is the one that makes you a millionaire? Let's start with a little background. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and not just any person, but one of the most respected presidents in American history. Over the years, the design has changed only slightly. From 1909 to 1958, the reverse featured 2 wheat ears. From 1959 to 2008, it showed the Lincoln Memorial. And during all those years, billions of these coins were minted. In 1969, the U.S. Mint was producing large quantities of coins, especially at the Denver Mint, which is where the D Mint mark on your 1969 D penny comes from. Over 4 billion of these coins were struck that year. So you might think, with numbers like that, there's no way one could be worth more than face value. But you'd be wrong. Enter the world of mint errors and rare variations. Most 1969 D pennies are completely ordinary. If you check your change and find one, chances are it's only worth 1 cent, maybe a few cents more if it's in very nice condition. But a tiny fraction of these coins are anything but ordinary. The most famous error involving the 1969 Lincoln penny is the 1969 double die obverse, which is one of the most sought-after and valuable pennies in existence. But here's the key detail. That particular double die is from the San Francisco Mint, marked with an S, not a D.S. How does the 1969 D penny fit into the $1 million club? Over the years, collectors have speculated about rare off-metal strikes, extreme mint errors, or unconfirmed double dies from the Denver Mint in 1969. A few reports have surfaced of 1969 D pennies with highly unusual features, bold doubling on the front, unusual die characteristics, or strikes on the wrong planchet. While these are not as well documented or widely confirmed as the 1969 double die, they've sparked major interest among collectors. In one case, a unique error penny linked to the 1969 D Mint mark was said to be so rare that it could command up to $1.5 million in the right auction, depending on condition, confirmation, and buyer interest. Now, it's important to point out that this is not an everyday 1969 D penny. We are talking about a 1 in a billion error, possibly a combination of minting anomalies and transitional planchets, something so rare that experts and collectors debate whether it was even meant to be released. What should you be looking for? Number 1. Doubling. If you see what looks like a second image of the date, the lettering, or Lincoln's face, get that coin looked at by a professional. Number 2. Check the weight. A normal 1969 penny should weigh around 3.11 grams if it's copper. If it weighs significantly more or less, you might have a rare planchet. Number 3. Condition. If your coin is in brilliant, uncirculated condition, bright red with no wear, it's already more valuable than average. But combine that with an error, and now we're talking serious money. Professional grading is essential if you think you've found something special. You'll want to send your coin to a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. They'll verify authenticity, confirm any errors, and assign a grade. A confirmed major mint error in mint state red condition can easily fetch thousands, tens of thousands, or even more depending on how rare and desirable it is. Now, is every 1969 D penny worth millions? Absolutely not. In fact, 99.999% of them are worth just face value. But it only takes one extremely rare, nearly impossible to replicate coin to make you a fortune. And history has shown time and again that these coins are out there. People do find them. So the next time you get a handful of change, slow down. Take a good look. That old, forgotten penny could be hiding something incredible. A tiny piece of history that somehow slipped through the cracks and ended up in your hands. Thanks for watching. If you learned something new today, or if you're going to go check your coin jar right now, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Have you ever found a rare coin? What's the coolest thing you've discovered in your spare change? Let us know. And remember, in the world of coin collecting, it pays to pay attention. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and never underestimate the power of a penny. Would you like a version optimized for voiceover or one with timing cues for editing? Let me know how you plan to use this so I can help you format it perfectly. Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the hidden stories and shocking values behind everyday coins, rarest coins. Today, we're looking at a coin that almost everyone has held in their hand at some point, the 1989 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it seems like one of the most common coins in circulation. You probably wouldn't think twice if you saw one on the sidewalk or at the bottom of a drawer. But what if I told you there are rare versions of this coin that collectors believe could be worth up to $1.3 million? That's right. 1 penny. 1 cent possibly worth more than $1 million. So how is that possible? What makes the 1989 Lincoln cent so special? What errors or conditions should you be looking for? And how can you tell if your penny is the rare one that everyone's been searching for? Let's get into the history, the facts, and the money behind this fascinating coin. First, let's talk about the basics. The Lincoln cent has been a staple of American coinage since 1909. It was the first coin in the United States to feature a real historical figure, President Abraham Lincoln. That alone made it groundbreaking, but it also became one of the longest-running coin series in U.S. history. By 1989, the penny had already undergone several changes. The reverse design featured the Lincoln Memorial, which had replaced the original wheat ears design in 1959 to honor Lincoln's 150th birthday. On the front, Lincoln's profile remained unchanged, but behind the scenes, the materials used to strike the coin had changed significantly. Here's what's important. In 1982, the U.S. Mint stopped making pennies out of solid bronze and switched to a copper-plated zinc composition. This new penny still looked the same on the outside, but it was lighter, cheaper to produce, and had a zinc core with a thin layer of copper on the surface. So by 1989, all regular Lincoln cents were struck using this zinc-copper combination. Now fast forward to today. Most 1989 pennies are extremely common. The Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint together produced more than 12 billion Lincoln pennies that year. That makes the standard 1989 penny very easy to find. In an average circulated condition, it's worth just 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, it might only bring in a few dollars, unless it has something rare or unexpected. That's where things get interesting. There are rumors and reports in the numismatic community of rare error coins and test strikes from 1989 that were never meant to leave the mint. These are coins that were possibly struck using the wrong materials, struck on foreign planchets, or even struck using dies intended for other denominations or test coins. Imagine this. A 1989 penny accidentally struck on a bronze planchet from before 1982, or struck on a blank intended for a foreign coin. Now imagine that coin is in near-perfect condition, with a bold error like doubling or misalignment. That is the kind of coin that turns heads at auctions. That's the kind of coin that serious collectors go crazy for. Some reports suggest that one such error coin, possibly a 1989 Lincoln cent struck on a pre-1982 bronze planchet or on an experimental composition, was discovered and quietly sold through a private collector's market for as much as $1.3 million. While this sale has not been confirmed through a public auction house, it has fueled years of speculation and curiosity around this date. So, what should you look for? First, grab a scale. A normal 1989 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams if it's the standard copper-plated zinc. If your 1989 penny weighs significantly more, around 3.1 grams, that could mean it was struck on a bronze planchet by mistake. That alone makes it rare. Next, check for any visual errors. Look closely at the date, the word liberty, and the phrase "in God we trust." If you see doubling or shadow images, that could be a double die, one of the most valuable kinds of mint errors. Also, look at the edge and rim. Is it thicker or thinner than normal? Is there any part of the design that seems off-center or misaligned? Error coins often have unique striking mistakes that set them apart. If you find anything unusual, do not clean the coin. Cleaning a coin can destroy its surface and instantly drop its value. Instead, handle it carefully, store it in a protective holder, and take it to a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. If it's authentic and rare, they'll grade it and seal it in a slab that certifies its value. You might be surprised how quickly a simple penny turns into a piece of serious investment-grade history. So to recap, the average 1989 Lincoln penny is worth 1 cent. A clean, uncirculated one might bring in a few dollars. But a rare mint error, especially one involving a bronze planchet, an off-metal strike, or a dramatic die mistake, could be worth thousands. And in the rarest case, that single cent might be worth as much as $1.3 million. It's not just about metal and mint marks. It's about rarity, condition, and collector demand. And every now and then, the perfect storm of all three happens. And that's when a coin like the 1989 penny makes history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed learning about this potential million-dollar penny, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin stories. And let us know in the comments, have you ever found a strange or rare penny in your change? Or do you have a 1989 penny that looks different from the rest? Share your story below. Until next time, keep your eyes open, check your change, and never underestimate the value of the coins in your hand. Because in the world of coin collecting, even a penny can change your life. Let me know if you'd like help with a video title, description, tags, or thumbnail text ideas.